Are you getting the dreaded shift to park message on the dash of your Can Am Maverick R? And no matter what you do, hit the overdrive or override button or anything, it doesn't go away? Well, this might be your problem. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I had that message on my car, and it was intermittent, but quite often. But you know what? It fixed itself and went away. But you know what? During that time, it was messing up. I went ahead and researched it, and like everybody's saying, it appears to be the magnets. There's a couple of magnets. There's sensors, the gear position sensors for the transmission. And I'm going to go ahead and change them out, and I'm going to take you guys along and show you how I did it. So these are the sensors, or the magnets, excuse me, and that is your part number. And there are two of them. That is a Maverick R. And I'm going to show you what the sensors are. So the first sensor is behind this cover. There's 3 bolts and a couple wire ties got to take off, and when we do that replacement, we'll dig in further to show you where that is. So that's the first one. That's sensor number 1 on the back of the gear case or transmission. The other one's a little harder to find. It's up here in the front. So easy way to find it is, here's your actuator for your gear selector. Here's your oil cooler for the transmission, and then down here, this little black cover right here with this plug-in. Behind there is the other, where the other magnet goes. So this one's magnet number 2. The one on the back is magnet number 1. So let's get set up to change these out. Okay, once you get that cover off, this is what it's going to look like. There's going to be an actuator right here, and then you got the harness going to the actuator, and then you got their sensor right here with the harness going to it. So I'm going to unplug this and see how much access I have to the sensor to keep from having to take off the actuator. Okay, there appears to be a zip tie. It's kind of acting as a locking mechanism. So this lever is a little tricky to get going. There's a release button right here in the middle. Make sure you watch for that. And now we're going to release this one. Now we can move our harness out of our way. All right, so here is the sensor, the magnet's behind there. And again, I'm going to try not to take this off. So I'm going to remove these 2 screws, slide this out, and see how much access we have. Gently pulling out, and plenty of room. That's what it looks like on the other side. So far I don't have to remove the actuator. I do want to show you that on this sensor here, there is an O-ring right here. So I'm going to clean this up, and what that O-ring does, obviously keeps oil in the transmission. So there will be just a little bit of seepage coming out right there. So I'll get this cleaned up and inspect the O-ring, and hopefully it's still good to go for reinstallation. So I want to show you a close-up of the magnet before I take it out. It's held in with a 3mm Allen head screw. And remember, I was getting a message on my dash, but then it went away. But I do want to show you that there appears to be a crack in that magnet. You see the line? I'm going to say that's probably a crack. So I'll remove that, we'll get a closer inspection. But if you look at the new magnet, there's no indication of a crack whatsoever. So let's get that removed and see what it looks like. It is tight. Okay, screw is a little bit long-winded. Of course, it's magnetized, so it doesn't want to just pull straight out. So I got me some needle nose here. Screw looks good. Yes, it's got Loctite on it. Hook tool. Oh, that worked much easier. Okay, let's take it over to the workbench. Okay, here's the magnet out. And that line we were seeing, it might just be an impression. Because that line's disappeared. I don't know if you can see very closely here, there's an arrow. Yep, it's a magnet. There's an arrow pointing that way, which matches the new one. The new one's got an arrow also. I don't see any cracks here. Don't see any cracks whatsoever. Let's take a look at the hole, see if there's some debris. So that line we were seeing was probably just an impression from where the sensor was on it or something. Okay, can we see anything in there? She looks pretty clean in there. Looks pretty clean. So I'm going to go ahead and swap it out. I'll use the old one as a spare. I don't think the old one was bad. Again, my problem was intermittent, but it could be the magnet number 2, not magnet number 1, that's caused me the problems. So we're going to reverse our procedure here and reinstall. Okay, you can see that rod has a flat side on it. In this picture here, that flat side is about 11 o'clock. So we want to line up that flat side with this flat side on the magnet. And then we can reinstall our screw. Okay, got the magnet sitting inside there and it's seated. And remember that arrow I was talking about? It's hard to see right here, but that arrow that's on the magnet, that lines up with the flat spot on the magnet. So once it was in there, I was able to kind of turn it with my finger and it settled. And now it's sitting on that rod nice and secure. So now I'm going to put my screw back in there, which I have already put some blue Loctite on. And we'll get that part secured. Getting it started with my 1/4 inch bit, 3mm. Okay. Check that magnet periodically because it became unsettled in there. There it goes, settled in. Keep checking that. Might need to use something to keep that in there because that magnet will pull out and you start using different tools and then it won't be lined up again. Snug up the arm. Make sure all the manufacturer's port specs. Make sure that one's fully seated on the bolt before you snug it. Now we put our sensor back on. sensor's all cleaned up, make sure the O-ring has some oil on it. Of course, the DCT oil is what's recommended. Okay, you saw me take it off with my impact. I don't recommend you put it back on with the impact because you need to be able to feel this. You don't want to crack that plastic. Use a ratchet so you can feel it. Again, use manufacturer torque specs also. Okay. Now I'm going to reconnect my harnesses. Doing the sensor here first. Make sure to listen for that snap. Now doing the actuator. Remember, as you plug it in, you need to move that little locking lever. Nice snap. Okay, the rear magnet's been replaced. Really pretty straightforward. The things you want to watch out for is make sure that magnet is clocked correctly, and make sure when you're putting the set screw to hold the magnet on back on there, that magnet doesn't come back and unclocked. Make sure it stays in there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to test the car. I'm going to fire it up, run it through a couple gears, put it back in gear, make sure there's no issues before I introduce the variable of working on the front one. Okay, so I'm about to test the car now to make sure there's no issues with the rear magnet after replacing it. I'm going to guess that I might get some weird messages until I run through the gears a couple times and it gets settled in. But let's see what happens. We're in park. First gear. Reverse. Back to park. Nice. And we got a park. So no weird issues. That's good news. I didn't run it very long because the front magnet, I'm going to be working around the exhaust and I don't want to get too hot. Okay, rear magnet's been replaced. I'm not putting the cover on just yet. I'll wait till the very end. Now we're going to the front magnet. And the front one is a little harder to get to. Yeah, it's down here. But it's going to be a similar type situation. We're going to have these 8mm little bolts. And we're going to have this harness to take off, and we'll probably have a 3mm screw holding the magnet on. But it's a fairly tight area, and I got some meat hooks going on here. So I've broken out my tiny tool collection, and I'm just going to start picking in there and see what I can get. Okay, that was painful. Get my meat hooks in there. I am suspect about what I see here. I see broken magnet pieces inside the O-ring right there. Pointed out to you. Right there on that far side. So I think that's where I had a problem. See if I can get eyes on it before I take everything out. Oh yeah. It's not drastic, but there's something in there. I'll try to give you eyes on it. Hang on. Okay, I'm going to try to show you here. Can you see that? Oh, that's a good shot. There's debris in there. The magnet's not shattered, but there's debris in there for sure. So the next part's going to be getting that set screw out from the center of the magnet and see what we can do from there. Alright, I might do that part off camera, getting that out. Something exciting happens, I'll bring you back. Okay, I got it out with this 3mm quarter-inch bit with the special ratchet. And when I pulled the screw out, the magnet came out with it. And there's a little bit of debris there. Let's see what's going on. Try to clean up this magnet. You know what? That's not pieces of magnet. That's just some wear items, I guess. But it was dirty in there. Here's the magnet. It looks good. But there was debris in there. And I think the debris might be just like shaving off bits of the magnet. Can't tell you for sure. Let's take another look at the sensor. Okay, I'm looking at the sensor. And I had this chunk in here. But what is that? It's kind of clear. It's like silicone. It just wiped away. So, I think there's just some assembly debris, we'll call it, that was in there. Got stuff here. And I think that's just jacking with my signal. I don't know. I'll replace it anyway. Let's see if we can't take a look inside that hole with a mirror again. Okay. Well, we're looking at it. It doesn't look bad in there. I think we're just going to clean it up. And see. I might look at the schematics and see what that is deeper in there. It definitely has a little bit different look inside that area than the last one. I'll run a pick in there and see if any of that stuff's loose. Okay, so I'm trying to get you guys a better look inside there. I looked already. Spoiler alert. But it doesn't look dirty in there. It doesn't look like a lot of debris. You see that? I'm trying not to blind the camera at the same time. It looks pretty good in there. Looks very clean. So I think it might be an anomaly. We're getting that message, shift to park message. Let's come back with some thoughts here. Okay, so like I said, a while back I did get the shift to park message, and it was kind of often, but not every time. And a lot of people, it's the magnets, it's the magnets, and that makes sense. It could be the magnets. But you saw that the rear was clean. Didn't look bad at all. Had an impression on it. Maybe that impression was some ferrous material that was stuck to the magnet, and that was throwing the reading off. Could be. I changed it anyway, but I think the old one's still good. The front one over there, It had debris on it, but it was more like silicone. And I think that that debris, after rubbing it in my fingers, I think they just put some lube on this O-ring, and they were pretty generous with the lube, and it kind of just stayed in there. I mean, it looked like little flakes of stuff, but once I rubbed it in my fingers, it disappeared. So, what am I going to do? What's going on? Well, let me show you the last step in the shop manual, what it says to do about these magnets. Reset the GBPS. What is GBPS? Alright, so what's going on? One thing I did not do before tearing into all this, and again, the problem kind of resolved itself. I haven't had that message for a long time. But I've never reset the sensors. That can be done with the code shooter, and we're going to do that after I put everything back together. But I'm just kind of foreshadowing here. I think that next time anybody gets that problem, before they go straight to replace the magnets, try resetting it first and see if that goes away. Yeah, strange. I wish we had cut and dry answers here. But I think my magnets were good. The front, I think, just had extra assembly lube, almost like a Vaseline type of stuff, and it kind of got in there. I don't know if that messed with anything. Could have. We definitely saw some witness marks on the back one here, on the magnet itself, which could have been some ferrous material, meaning some metal, that just kind of got in that spot and could have thrown the readings off on the sensor. So anyway, I'm going to put the new one in the front, and we're going to start putting her back together. Alright guys, I don't know if that's going to work or not, that camera position. So here's the new magnet. Remember to get that thing clocked right. See if I can get a visual on how it's clocked. Okay, it looks like we're about 330 position. Take my magnet. It's about in the 330 position. It's obviously not set in there right there. I have to use my pick. Move it around a little bit. Okay, she's in there, but is she clocked? I don't think so. Oh, that felt pretty good. It doesn't want to spin. So now, try to get my set screw in there. Okay, I've already got my blue Loctite on there, on my screw. Wish I had eyeballs on the end of my fingers. Alright guys, I'm going to try to keep that magnet set in there while I screw this down and make sure it's in the right clock position. How are we looking? Looking pretty good. Can you see that? Looking pretty good. Okay, observation time guys. When I was tightening down the magnet on the one back here, it tightened down pretty good. The little set screw I'm talking about, the 3mm Allen, tightened down pretty good. Nothing really moved inside. I just snugged it pretty good. Felt good. Now, the front one, when I was tightening it, you're looking at the mirror there in case it's hard to tell. When I was tightening it with my little fancy tool, before it got tight, the whole thing started spinning. So I tightened it more and more until it stopped spinning. And then I was able to get enough and get it snug where I'm happy with the tightness of it. What's my point about that? Here's my point. So the rear one, when I took it apart, put it back together, that rod basically didn't move. Started the car up, no error messages, anything like that. The front one, took it apart, put it back together, that shaft moved. Makes me think that that's where we need to do the relearn process. So we'll find that out. Another tip for you. How do you know if you have the magnet clocked? Well, it's sitting in there pretty flush. It doesn't want to move around. It's hard to get your fingers in there to manipulate it. Not like the rear one where I can get just about any tool in there. But what's going to tell me if that magnet's all the way flush and not, if it's not clocked and set in its right indentation, is when I put the sensor back on. If the sensor won't seat, that tells you the magnet's not down. So that's kind of my double checking right there. If the sensor won't seat, that tells me the magnet's not in the right spot. If the sensor will seat, that tells me the magnet is seated and in the right spot. Because there's only one way to clock it. You can't be 180 off or anything like that. So let me finish putting the front back together. I got the rear back in. The sensor seated just fine. So it tells me the magnet's in the right position. Got this reconnected. Everything went pretty well. Not that bad of a job. It would appear then maybe it wasn't even necessary. I don't know. We'll talk more about that towards the end. What tools did I use? Well, I just like my little pry tool. That's my favorite tool. 3mm Allen, 3mm Allen with a hex on this little doodad here. 8mm and a little pick tool. That's really all you need. So I'm going to put my rear cover back on the back of the transmission and get this thing down to the ground. And we're going to see what kind of messages we have. Remember, that front rod, I ended up rotating when I tightened down that set screw for the magnet. So probably going to get an error there. Okay, so we got both magnets replaced. We talked about that quite a bit. The front actuator or the front rod spun when I tightened down the magnet. We're going to see if that creates a message here on the screen. I think it's 50-50. It's going to have an error, or we're going to hear that thing rotating until it gets the right spot. It's going to stop. That's kind of what happened when I did that whole 3 neutrals video. The thing just kind of found its right spot. Anyway, here we go. We're going to fire it up. Let's just do key on first. Okay. It doesn't know where we are, so we're not in park. We're going to tell it we're in park. I think we're going to... This is kind of like the error message we had before. I think we're going to have to reset it. No. 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 Okay, let's start her up. Alright, we're in park. First gear. Second gear, or reverse. Back to park. Neutral. Park. We're going to kill it. We're going to let this thing completely reset, start it again, and see if we have no errors. Again, this is without doing the relearn. Okay, the car has completely shut down, so we're just going to fire it up, see if we got any error messages. Looking good. Performance key. We have park indicator there. Look, I get 2,000 miles on it now. Okay, let's put it in drive. Reverse. Park. Seems to be good. Didn't do a relearn process either. And I did change the magnets. I didn't put the old ones back in. but I think we should do a relearn process with the Evo code shooter. We'll do that next. All right, guys. So mission accomplished, I would say. Like I say, my car was having issues before. It stopped having issues. But while it was having issues, I bought magnets. I planned to put them in. Then it stopped having issues. I didn't put them in. But I felt obligated and threw lots of encouragement out there doing this video. I did this video to show you how to replace those magnets. The relearn process for Evo. Have some issues going on with the Evo app right now. I was really going to do the DCT relearn just to kind of go through the process and show you guys, but ultimately it doesn't look like I need it.
That too is a lie. Turns out I really do need it, and I finally got the Evo app figured out. You're going to want to pay close attention to how to do that relearn process.
I took the car. You can see I put the dirt tires on it. She definitely looks a lot more wimpy with the dirt tires compared to the sand tires, but took the car out for a rip and went through all the gears, came back, killed the motor, let it shut down, started again, drove it again, come back, shut it down. No issues at all with the shifting, no error messages, anything like that. So I guess we'll say a success right now. Okay, so I got the magnets replaced, car started up, and I'm getting this message. That's why we did this in the first place, right? Alright, hang tight with me for a moment. Okay, had to get away from the car for a second. So that message means that we need to do the DCT relearn. Like I say, that can be done with the Evo code shooter. Been banging my head against the wall here. But what I come to find out is, because I haven't been able to do the relearn, it's not working for me. So what has to happen is the car has to be running and it has to be at the temperature. So the car's just about up to temperature. We're going to take some video of me going through the app and showing you where the DCT relearn is and what you're going to see on the app. It's going to be kind of noisy because of the car's running and all that kind of stuff. But we'll get to that part next.
Okay, so I'm basically going to do a voiceover on me going through the app on this part. There's a couple of gotcha moments during this process that you got to pay close attention to. I literally wasted hours on some of this stuff. Okay, so this pop-up happens on the app when it starts up, and it's telling you that the app is outdated. This is a glitch in this current version. I spent hours trying to update the app, and there is no newer version. So what you want to do at this point, you just want to tap outside of that box to get past this notification. Okay, this is another place I got stuck for hours. I've entered the section where it says to do the DCT relearn, and the screen would come up, and it just wouldn't go any further, and I didn't know what it was doing. So I let the car run and run and run, and just waiting for something to happen, and nothing would ever happen. Through happenstance, through my fat fingering the phone, you've actually got to scroll up inside that box. So you have to put your finger on the box and scroll up, and it will expose the OK key, and then you can push the OK key to proceed. Okay, after finally finding the first OK key It goes through a couple of disclaimers. Basically says the car has to be in sport mode and it has to be running and warmed up. Very important. It's got to be warmed up. Then we finally get into the part where it's actually doing the relearn process, and you can see a status bar. Okay, the rest of this relearn process, you're going to watch it in real time, so you can know what to expect when you do it. It really doesn't take that long. You're going to hear some clunks and bangs and whatnot, and you're going to see the message change on the screen, along with the status bar finally getting to 100%.
Okay, so magnets are replaced. I've done the DCT relearn using the Evo code shooter. Pay close attention to the video with the voiceover I just did. Hopefully I just did. I'm foreshadowing here. If you don't do these certain steps, you're going to end up like me and spend 2 hours trying to figure out what the hell you did wrong when you didn't do anything wrong. So I hope you guys liked the video. I hope this saves you a lot of frustration, and I hope it saves you a lot of just anxiety about how to change out these magnets, because it's not that big a deal at all. I don't know. I could have done it, I think, without the relearn process. But on the flip side, the relearn process might have avoided having to do the magnets in the first place. Things kind of get out of sync. Who knows? You know, I kind of harken this to like the earlier X3s. They were very sensitive to misfires. You get these ghost P301s, P302, 03 misfire codes, and just because the ECU was oversensitive. Maybe these cars are oversensitive. Who knows? We're in a very sensitive environment these days. So anyway, hope you guys liked the video. Hopefully it helps you out. Big shout out to everybody reaching out and giving me those positive comments. It really keeps me encouraged to keep going. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we're going to have some more content coming your way. We got this one, Can Am Maverick R right here. We're going to do some upgrades to it, and I got more things planned for the Mav R. Thanks again, guys. I'm starting to ramble, so I'm going to end this video right now.